If you want to do more of what you love, pain-free, in this video, I'm going to show you how I went from multiple career-ending injuries to being in the strongest and most flexible shape of my life. It all started in 2009 when I was serving in the army in East Timor as an infantry soldier. My platoon was lined up in preparation for an assault on an enemy position. The weight of my body armor, rifle and ammunition was 75 pounds. Sweat stung my eyes so bad from the 105-degree heat that I could barely see. My platoon commander gave the signal to advance and we stepped off. "Contact!" yelled the soldier to my right, and I opened fire as I sprinted towards a cover point. And then it happened. Down I went. I heard an almighty crack as I hit the ground. Pain and adrenaline flooded my body. I didn't know it yet, but my life was about to change forever. My name is Rad Burmeister. I'm a co-founder of Unity Gym and the Unify Movement System, and I'd like to share my story of how and why I reinvented strength and flexibility training. In an instant, spondylolisthesis and a pars fracture had ended my career as an infantry soldier. That's kind of like two of your lower back vertebrae slipping apart and crushing your nerves. My 4-year military service came to a back-breaking end in 2012 at age 34 when I was discharged due to injury. Out of the army, I resumed work as a personal trainer. But the pain in my lower back was so bad that I couldn't stand on my feet without popping addictive pain pills, and expensive physical therapy bills were piling up. I desperately wanted to be pain-free so that I could master calisthenics and be an industry leader. I couldn't stand the idea of being a mediocre coach who talked the talk but couldn't walk the walk. The idea that my best years were behind me was unbearable. I've always been an overachiever. And now here I am at age 34, crippled by pain and unable to do the things I love. I felt hopeless and defeated. But I wasn't ready to give up. I had dreams of starting a family, and I wanted to be an inspiration to my wife and kids. So I committed to working out obsessively until I achieved my goals. I attended more workshops with world-class experts than I can remember. I started working with strength and conditioning coaches, flexibility coaches, anyone and everyone who was an expert in their field. Putting it all into practice had me training twice a day. At 5 a.m. every morning, I would do strength training for 90 minutes, and then in the evening, I would do my flexibility training for another 90 minutes. The pain in my lower back subsided, and I became much stronger and more flexible. But it didn't last. When my son was born in 2017, everything changed. Exhausted from lack of sleep, plus the new responsibility of being a dad and a husband, meant that I couldn't keep up with my double-day training routine. But I knew that if I dropped a workout, I'd go backwards and fail to achieve my goals. I became frustrated, agitated, and my relationship started to suffer. My all or nothing mentality kicked in, and I tried to work harder. I woke up earlier. I tried to cram even more into my day. Every workout, I pushed myself harder, and the harder I pushed, the worse I felt. And that's when my body started to break down. First was golfer's elbow in both arms, then tennis elbow, then a torn meniscus in my right knee. I should have listened to my body then, but my fear of failure was too strong. So I pushed through it until finally, another life-changing injury. A torn labrum and rotator cuff in my right shoulder. That's kind of like tearing apart what connects your arm to your body. A year of rehab and frustrating plateaus, and I felt like I was finally clawing my way out of the hole I was in. And then I did the exact same injury to the other shoulder. I couldn't believe it. Another career-ending injury. I felt sick to my stomach. Training twice a day wasn't working. Trying to push harder wasn't working. I was completely burned out. Was I just destined to be a middle-aged injured guy? Facing the possibility that my best years were behind me in my late 30s was more than I could bear. To top it all off, my physical limitations meant that my personal training business and finances were failing, and I was forced to declare bankruptcy. I'd hit rock bottom. But giving up wasn't an option, not for me. I wasn't ready to accept that my best years were behind me. I had to succeed for myself, for my business, and for my wife and son. To be pain-free and master calisthenics, I knew I needed to be strong and flexible. But I didn't have the time for 2 workouts a day anymore. It was becoming obvious. I needed to find a better way to train. Over the next few years, I had several aha moments whilst working with industry-leading experts. My friend Tony Battaggi, who holds a PhD in exercise and sports science and is an exercise physiologist, taught me that flexibility was essential to unlocking athletic performance. Tony also introduced me to Ian King, coach to Olympic athletes in numerous sports since 1998, who taught me that I must prioritize stretching in my workouts if I ever wanted to get flexible. My friend Aaron McKenzie, coach to some of Australia's elite rugby league players, taught me that I needed to combine stretching in every strength workout to improve efficiency. Ido Portal introduced me to modern methods of stretching that both strengthen and lengthen muscles. Joachim Hilderson introduced me to end-range strength. My friend Phil White, a physical therapist, sports scientist, and remedial massage therapist, reminded me to carefully consider how I pair flexibility and strength so that I wouldn't get injured. Andrew Huberman, professor of neurobiology at Stanford Medicine, helped me validate my methods with current research, so I knew I was on the right track. Each one of these world-class experts had given me a piece of an incomplete puzzle. My epiphany moment was realizing that I can put these pieces together into a 1-hour workout. The problem was that everyone I reached out to for help said that it couldn't be done. Incredibly, personal trainers are literally taught to separate strength and flexibility workouts. But this idea completely overlooks a stack of research that suggests otherwise and means that you have to do 2 workouts a day. Excluding professionals who are paid to exercise, who has the time for that? As a result, most personal trainers, strength and conditioning coaches, and even PT educators are dogmatic about strength and flexibility training. So if I was going to create a better way to train, I would have to put all the puzzle together myself. Luckily, I had my brother Yanni to help. In traditional strength workouts, there's a lot of rest between sets, which I usually just spent chatting with friends. I worked out that I could use a method of active recovery to do my stretching then, so the time between sets became productive. The secret was to pair upper body strength exercises with lower body stretches. So I wasn't stretching and strengthening the same muscles in the same workout. Interestingly, kind of like when you warm up before stretching, fatigue from lifting weights meant that I could stretch further than normal. So my active recovery delivered better flexibility results than stretching alone. To get more done in less time, Yanni taught me to pair opposing muscle groups using alternating sets. Surprisingly, this also reduced my muscle fatigue, so my alternating sets delivered better strength results. As Yanni and I worked out how to pair stretching to complement strength, our results exploded. We were getting twice as much done in half as much time, and what we did in half the time was twice as effective. We had completely reinvented how we trained for strength and flexibility. Seeing the pieces come together to produce better results than we'd ever experienced was awesome. But seeing our members get the same incredible results made me realize we'd created something revolutionary. If you haven't been able to get the results that you want, it's not your fault. You've been fed a false belief. Overcoming the fitness industry dogma that stretching should be done separately was hard for me too. When you reinvent something, rather than just improving what you're already doing, it's natural to be apprehensive. Even my brother resisted at first. Honestly, it wasn't until I'd been teaching it to our members for 12 months and Yanni could see the consistent results in Unity Gym that we went all in on the Unified Movement System, aka UMS. Not surprisingly, we get the best results with people just like you who have been training for a while already. And I know you might be thinking that you've tried many programs and this won't be any different. Because we reinvented strength and flexibility training into a unified movement system rather than just improving a regular strength training program, most people were initially apprehensive. But as the results in our tribe around the world piled up, everyone started to pay attention, and the unified movement system grew in popularity. You may also be thinking, you've tried stretching in the past and it doesn't work for you. Trust me, I felt the same way. But here's the thing, in reality, muscles aren't tight. It's actually the nervous system protecting us from harm. And the problem is it's doing too good a job of it. Combining stretching with strength actually taps into the body's natural safety mechanism to radically increase flexibility. The results we got were like nothing we ever thought possible. It's kind of like driving a sports car in economy. It keeps you safe when needed, but when you click it into sport mode, the performance is game changing. If you're thinking that you can't fit this into your schedule, I get it. When I couldn't fit my workouts in, it frustrated the crap out of me. But UMS won't be adding anything. It replaces your program to give you exactly what you need to get stronger and more flexible than you've ever been in far less time. If the thought of another subscription or paying for a coach puts you off, I can relate to that too. As my friend, ex-professional bodybuilder Ben Pakulski once said, if you think you can't afford to work with a good coach, that's exactly why you need to. Because the reality is, you can't afford to waste any more cash on another crap program. Trust me, the best in the world all have coaches, so why wouldn't you? If you think getting flexible will interfere with your strength training, I think we can put this false belief to bed. Because some of the world's most impressive athletes are Olympic weightlifters and gymnasts, who both have insane strength and flexibility. For me, UMS meant I could finally achieve my goals, despite my hectic schedule and previous burnout. I got really strong and flexible. I mastered calisthenics moves like the press to handstand and muscle up that I'd struggled to achieve for years. Most importantly, one by one, all of my painful injuries disappeared. Even more impressively, tribe members who originally came to us to fix lifelong back pain completely transformed themselves from being scared of weightlifting to doing double bodyweight deadlifts and full splits with zero pain or injuries. UMS enabled results for thousands of people around the world that completely transformed our business. But the real pinch myself moment was when I woke up one morning and realized I had nowhere to be. I didn't need to race off to start my first training session so I'd get time to fit everything into my day. Instead, I could just relax and slow down. For me, the UMS meant I could be present for those irreplaceable morning walks to drop my son off at school. It meant being an inspiration to my wife, my son, and tribe. You're probably wondering what happened at the beginning of my story in East Timor. Luckily, I was just on a training exercise and not in real combat. I had fallen down a 10-foot ravine and fractured my spine, but I was immediately medevaced to the nearest military hospital and treated for my injuries. Of course, I can't promise that the Unified Movement System will do exactly the same thing for you as it did for me. What I can promise is that for less than $2 a day, you will achieve more in less time than you ever thought possible. So ultimately, you'll be able to do more of what you love without pain. My friend, this is much more than just a fitness app or training program. This is strength and flexibility reinvented. And what you get will blow your mind. Click through to see everything included in the Unity Gym app.